But Jim was great. We're up in Alabama. We got a shortstop, Bobby Spano, great kid. His brother's a starting catcher out there right now. Bobby's sitting over there. And Bobby had more trouble bunting all year than any player we've ever coached. And Dawn, there's Dawn, lovely Dawn, was always with us. Dawn came up to me one day and she's our scorekeeper. She goes, Coach, why don't you just not have him bunt? So we're playing Alabama for the regional championship. We're in the 9th inning, and we've blown a lead because I brought in a wrong relief pitcher, but yeah, what the heck. And we got a lead-off walk. Derek Hutton draws a walk. Derek Hutton would swing at anything if you said pitch. He's swinging at anything. He laid off a pitch that he loved to swing at right here for ball 4. So he trots down to first base, and I look at Lido sitting there, I go, oh my God, it's coming. The regional championship's coming down to Bobby Spano having to get down a bunt. And he's standing like this and goes, he's the best bunter in the state of Alabama. And Bobby laid down this perfect bunt. We got a freshman named Jeff Fiorentino who made the big leagues. He gets up, hits a single, and we take the lead. We shut him down to 9th. We win a regional. I mean, we're not supposed to win regionals. I mean, you can say anything you want about being Florida, but you always want to. And you never tell your kids, hey, you're not good enough. But the reality of it is, think about it, you're going to win a regional. I mean, how hard it is to do that. Because if you don't sweep through it, you're going to have your down-the-line pitching against somebody's better down-the-line pitching, and that's not easy. And we won it. It was a tremendous experience. Jim Lytle, Bob Deutsch was my pitching coach of that team. Tremendous pitching coach. I was a pitching coach, and people used it against us. They said, well, you don't have a pitching coach. And I thought they were being nice, and they meant, well, because he's the head coach. No, they meant, he doesn't know enough to be the pitching coach. Right, Tony? I was your pitching coach. I used to go out, Tony Von I used to go out and just yell at him. You talk about Chancellor wanting to get on. I would get out at Tony, and I would make up some words. And really and I don't like to yell at a kid on the field where people can hear him. I'd yell at him in the dugout. Right, Fonz? I've done that. But on the field, I didn't like doing that. But Tony had to do that. He had to give him the whip. He was like a good racehorse that had to get the whip. And then Tony would be so mad at me, he'd go over, pick up that rosin bag, and throw it down and stare at me in the dugout, and then he'd strike out the side. You know? It was like, so anyway, we hired Bob Deutsch. We did a great job as our pitching coach. And down the line, I picked up Tony Fossas, another ex-big leaguer. Did a good job in the last few years as our pitching coach. Norberto Lopez, who's coaching out in Texas now as an assistant. Just the most enthusiasm that's ever put into one human being went into that little guy, right? How many different ways can you tell you to swing the bat? And he had some great. He had the Player of the Year in the conference two consecutive years. I think, and Mike McKenna over there and Robbie Wolanski. So something he did rubbed off. You know, the kids did most of it, but. So I was blessed. You know, you're only as good as the people that are around you. Does anybody else want to cover? Tony, I am not going to tell any stories about you. I know you're so worried over there. You're just so worried over. No, I can't do that. Mick Selly is the only time he's ever pinch hit in his life. I called him up. I said, Mick, Jim can't make it. He's a police officer. He just got a new job in a new department, and he's working this weekend. There's no way he could come. My plan was to have all 4 of my kids, Maggie and Luke, were each going to say something. What a debacle that would have turned into. And then Jeff was going to come down from New Jersey, and Jim was going to come. And Jeff has a job interview, so I appreciate Mick pinch hitting. He said, Coach, I don't think you ever had me pinch hit because I was always starting. The thing I remember most about Mickey is the last thing he would do before every game. You know, everybody's got their own little ritual. They got to do something. You know, they're praying for this or that and that. Mickey would look at his uniform in the locker room and check it and make sure he looked good. And he never dove in the outfield because he had his comb in his back pocket. He didn't want to break his comb. Thank you, Nick. It was nice of you to say all that. So I don't know if they mentioned everybody. What? I'm sorry. All right. Tremendous. George Roy was also a coach with us as well as a player. I wrote some names down so I wouldn't forget. I'm sorry I'm taking so long about it. The proudest thing for our program that I have is that we made it into a regional 7 times. And only one time we were an automatic bid. Only one time we won the conference tournament, which gets you into the regional. So that means every other time, people around the country thought we were good enough and we should be there. And that was very, very, very heartwarming to me. The last one was touch and go, but we made it. And We were the last team called on the ESPN show, so it was a little tough. 300 players. So go back to the start of this story. God has plans for all of us. And the thing that I've learned is, God's got his own time. We might think that, I'm not getting God's plan. He's not listening to me. No, he's listening, but he's on his own time. I mean, look at the Old Testament. I mean, forever. Those guys are screwing up, forgive them. Screwing up, forgive them. But it went on for centuries. So why is it any different with us? So he's got a plan for us. It's in his time. My time was 21 years in this place. It was 7 years as a high school coach. It was 4 years as a head coach in New Jersey. It was 2 years as an assistant coach in New Jersey at the same school. I realized that what I wanted, I got in terms of baseball. I didn't get to be a major leaguer, but I got to have these guys show up. I mean, you had to take a day off work, those of you that have jobs, to come over here today. Mickey showing up with his daughter. I mean, you have no idea what that means to me. Dave, who, he didn't even finish here, but he's always in my heart an FAU guy, and he's here with his folks. That just, I don't care. You can make $18 million a year. Honestly, it's not as good as that. It's what we talked about. A kid that calls you out of the blue or sends you an email out of the blue after X number of years, basically saying, hey, the light bulb just clicked for me. I understand what you're talking about. I'm sorry the way I acted, or thanks for having my back, or whatever. And you actually left on bad terms, not bad terms, but you never felt you made the connection. And when you get an email like that, or a phone message like that, or somebody shows up unexpectedly like that, God, it means everything. Everything. So, now, one more journey. My problem in my life right now is, baseball's over for me. I'm not coaching baseball again. I don't think. I've been turned down a couple jobs, but I sat on the roof of this triplex I was redoing with this Native American that left me hanging on the job at the end, and we were partners, and the thing's clogged up, and I'm on the roof and it's opening day of college baseball, my first year out, so that would have been 2009, I guess. And I'm sitting there, it's a beautiful day, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? I had the greatest job in the world. The greatest job in the world. And I'm sitting on a roof, trying to get a snake down this thing to unclog a drain, and I don't even know what I'm doing. If I fall off the roof, there's nobody here to pick me up. I said, the heck with this. I got down, and I got in my truck, and I started driving home. I was in Sevierville. I'm driving down, and I'm going to the Tennessee game. And I didn't know how I was going to do that, but I went, and I paid my ticket like some schmuck does. I never paid for a baseball game in my life. And here I am, I'm paying to see Tennessee play Oregon State. And I'm standing there in work boots. I smell like whatever was fouled up in that house, and I'm looking out on the field. It's the most gorgeous field I've ever seen, except for ours. And I'm looking at the crowd and their uniforms. Were our uniforms that white? Did we look that good? Did I look as young as that coach ever? No, that day was really hard. The following year was hard, but it got a little bit easier. Every regional and conference tournament is really hard. I just watch it on the computer. I look at All Access, Twitter stuff and everything, so you keep up now. That's hard, but I think that God's plan for me isn't finished. Went to a guy, at Christmas cutting down trees. I said, hey, I wish I had a Christmas tree farm. I got the land. I should have done it years ago. He goes, why don't you do it? I said, I'm 61 years old. He goes, I'm 71. I was like, good idea. Came home and said, hey, we're in the Christmas tree business. So when Mr. Rollins calls me, I was out in the field deciding whether I should try to finish the last 100 trees before dark. We're going to have a couple beers and sit by the fire. And I got the call about this, and it rekindled so many fond memories of it. But I think that I don't know what the rest of the journey is. I don't know what the rest of the plan is. I don't think the plan ended when I walked away from here in 2008. I honestly don't. And I miss the game. Like I used to tell you guys in the dugouts, it's better than sex after a big win. Remember I used to say that? Right? Mike McKenna would look at it and go, well, maybe for you, old man, but not for me. I say that all the time, didn't I? Big win. When you have a big win, and you know they're playing the music at the end, and the other team's over there, and the coach is trying to think of something good to say to them, and you're there like handing out the Miller Lite player of the game. What do you care? It's the greatest feeling. Everybody's happy. Even a kid that didn't play, most of them are still, you know, looking like they're happy. It's the greatest feeling. I miss that. I miss being in a dugout. I miss being on those godforsaken bus rides. I honestly do miss it, especially when you won. When you won a series and you're driving through the night and guys are playing cards and yelling and screaming and arguing and fights are breaking out. Oh man, it was the greatest. It was the greatest. So I miss that. But I think God's got a plan. I don't think He's done with me yet. I had somebody tell me that the other night. But don't worry. You know, you're going to figure out what you are and what you're doing. Because I want to do more than just have my family, a business. You know, I got an antique shop. Hell, I'm the antique. I mean, actually, I look young. Some of the clientele coming in is so old. These ladies, they're like, oh, you're young. You look good. I'm like, thanks, honey. You're like 90. You know, it's got to be more life than just business. And, you know, we're going to do the Christmas tree farm. So, you know, Luke and Maggie, and Maggie's not real wild about it, but, you know, she'll be making wreaths someday when people come with their little kid. You know, Mickey will bring his daughter for a Christmas tree. You know, and it's a great way to live. And there'll be something else too, you know, I'm trying to do some things in my church, but I know, I feel really good about where I am in my life. I thank my parents, I thank God, I thank my wife over here, Mary Beth, for putting up with me. She's the greatest, because you know what? With 99 out of 100 times, if I came home really angry about something or with somebody and I vented at her, she's right behind me. Yeah, you just know what he's doing. He's good. She's got my back. I don't know, later on when I leave, she's like, oh my God, what is it, kidding me? Don't say anything and lose the job, please. Now, she only second-guessed me once. I sat Nick Preston, Hall of Famer. It's senior day, right? Nick's only a freshman or sophomore. He had a little hamstring. Said, Nick, you're not going to play today. And he's like, what do you mean I'm not going to play today? If we win our 40th game. It's against Florida Southern. We were in Division II. I said, senior day. This kid, Mike, his dad's never going to see him play again. He goes, you're crazy. He walks away from it. So I go up to Mac, and Mac goes, what's the matter? I don't see Nick's name in the lineup. And I go, I told him what's going on. He goes, you're crazy. And he walks away. He's all mad at me. So I go out the first inning. We're out in the field. This kid playing third. He plays Presto, gets ground ball. He throws like 35 feet over the first base hill. Right, so I go out to coach third. Meredith comes running down the hill. And she goes, what's the matter with Nick? What's the matter with Nick? And I said, well, the other kid, his father, and everything. It means so much to him. You're crazy. She walked back up the hill. But most times she was very supportive, so I appreciate that. Katrina, for years, you know, just always putting up with me. Opinionated person, wants things a certain way, difficult to deal with. I understand that. I appreciate it. No, me. No. Katrina, on the van right here talking about we want to have a bookstore, remember, in the country, and I sort of have what I want. Dawn had to put up with me all the time working with us. It's great. Liz Jones and Betty Sermon. I mean, there's so many of you that came here tonight. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. You guys have no idea how much it means to me. You guys over there, I mean, Rusty, to go all the way, I mean, Rusty, I know you got a real job and stuff, and you had to drive all the way across the other side to be here. Spano, tremendous bun. I love Spano. You know, the greatest story I ever wrote, I think, was one strike from a bus ride. Remember that story up in Jacksonville? One strike, he's going to strike out. We have no chance. Season's over. We're going home. He can't hit. Nobody told him. Boom, he gets a base hit. Next thing you know, Gabe gets a base hit. We win the game, we're still alive. One strike from a bus ride. That was my favorite story. Well, one of my favorites. I wrote a lot of them. So thank you. I'm sorry it took so long. Shantasia, thanks for putting up with me. I mean, but you only get inducted once, right? So what are you going to do? Thank you.